Right now joining us here, Parag Khanna, founder and managing partner of FutureMap. Khanna is a former advisor to President Obama and an expert on Asia. We'll be hearing about China in the president's speech. Also here is Jeff Ballabon, Trump 2020 campaign advisor. Ballabon is the CEO of B2 Strategic, where he advises and represents corporate and political clients. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
So let's start off with you, Jeff. What are you looking for tonight in President Trump's speech?
I'd like to take a minute to comment on what I've heard so far here tonight, which is the one thing which I haven't heard about so much is the impact that the media has on perception. So we can talk all we want about an objective set of numbers, but the fact that media coverage has been so skewed compared to media coverage with Obama also has an impact on the markets, on people in general, on approval ratings. And so there's really another element that isn't quite as objective as some of the other elements we've been talking about tonight. And it's very much the eye of the beholder. I think that people who watch shows like this are very interested in, maybe it's a more rarefied kind of an audience, who are interested in more objective facts and with a specific target and reason. People who care about politics for the game of it or aren't paying that much attention or just listening here and there, there's a very corrosive effect right now that the media has on perception, and that could be the reason there's such a delta between his actual numbers and the perceived numbers or perception of his presidency. That's one fact.
Can I just push back on that? And this
Sure.
is not exactly a financial topic, so we're a little bit askew from what our audience is interested in, but Trump also creates his own media like no president ever has before, through his Twitter feed, through his ability to generate attention for himself, and that is a brand new part of the media landscape, is Trump himself. Trump is media more than any other president before him.
Yeah, we're not disagreeing. I mean, it's a factor. I'm saying it's a factor that changes the dynamic in terms of those numbers seem very objective, but there is a subjectivity in the sense of how it's being presented to the public that may not be watching Yahoo Finance.
I think what Rick's saying is that it goes both ways, that there's the media and then the president himself has been able to present himself to the public in a way that no president ever has before. So let's go to you, Parag. What are you looking for in terms of the speech tonight?
You know, we've emphasized that immigration, the economy, and trade are going to be factors. Foreign policy as well. I'm sure he's going to mention Syria, for example, and you know, the ways in which the U.S. plans to pull back and burden sharing and these kinds of things. And of course, trade is going to be really a major factor. And here, of course, he's going to say that I'm the one who's being tough on China. I'm the one who's bringing them to the negotiating table. I'm going to remain very firm if we don't have a comprehensive deal covering all aspects of the economic relationship with China. The tariffs are going to be lifted, tariffs are going to continue to be imposed and even double down on those tariffs on China by March the 1st, that kind of thing. I think fundamentally, the underlying economic dynamics are much more complicated than just whether or not tariffs go up or down in the next month. He's not going to have time to delve into that detail, and quite frankly, it's not clear that the administration really has a long-term strategy for how they're going to deal and trade with Asia, because, of course, the U.S. did not join the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been really the best way to promote American commerce.
Well, let me put it to both of you, though. What about the toughest issue of all, which is getting both sides to work together? Are we going to hear any of that tonight?
I think the president will lay out a vision for unity and perhaps a plea or a call for unity. I doubt, I mean, there seems to be no evidence that Democrats will respond in kind. And the president, I mean, look, each side's going to claim they want unity and the other side is obstructing. That's clear. Both sides are going to do it. I think the president will put out a call for unity. As we discuss some of the specifics, you know, it's clear that he's come to the table with compromise offers on some of the major political agenda items, and so far the Democrats have not really been willing to call it on those exact issues. But yeah, there'll be a call for unity. I think it'll be roundly rejected, and that's unfortunate.
Can I ask you guys about a week from now? So the political class loves the State of the Union address, the pomp and circumstance, tweaking everything he says. But, you know, to a lot of people, this is just a long, boring speech and something that messes up their primetime lineup. So do you think anything is changeable with a speech like we're going to hear tonight?
It's possible. I mean, there could always be a bombshell. No, it's I don't. The answer is I doubt it, because otherwise I would tell you here's an example of something that would. It would have to be a bombshell. I don't see that really happening. I think, unfortunately, a lot of it is fairly calcified, or it's in a rut right now, and things are moving in a certain direction.
Certainly, if you look at it from a policy standpoint rather than just politics, we haven't even begun to see the discord and the distinction now that is obviously coming in with the new Congress being Democrat versus the Republican White House. So I can't see any area where they're fundamentally going to get behind the same ball.
So the moment this speech is over, we're going to basically go back to where we were, which is where we are right now, which is where we still have this problem with how is the government going to get funded, and will there be a shutdown or won't there be a shutdown? Could you guys handicap what you think is going to happen, how we're going to get out of this, and how will Trump handle the fact that he's probably not going to get his border wall funding?
You know, it depends on how you interpret the choice of rebuttal or response. They chose someone, they chose Stacey Abrams, who represents a more leftist, Abrams, sorry, a more leftist, right, thank you. I would actually say radical, because of my perception, voice in the party. The Democratic Party has a brand new caucus that is far to the left of where the rest of the caucus is, and Nancy Pelosi and the leadership really have to make a decision which way they're trending. Are they going to pay more attention to them? Now, if they're pulling them out there to make political hay, but they're not going to listen to them when it comes to substance, that's a good sign. But the bad sign seems to be they are putting a lot of attention on the left of the party, and that is not going to be helpful, by the way, to the economy, and it's not going to be helpful to the politics, and so I'm a little afraid that that's the direction it's going to go.
Parag?
If there's one issue where we should see unity, it's around infrastructure. This has been one of the critical bipartisan priorities. It's one of the things that Hillary and Trump both campaigned on. They were, remember, competing to one-up each other about how many more hundreds of billions of dollars they would commit to infrastructure. Instead, we've had paltry plans put forward. So I'd love to see the Congress focus on that.